Getting ready to start the canoe tripping season. I've got my cook kit here, everything I use to cook and eat, and I'm going to go over some key changes I made for this year. They mostly pertain to how I'm going to use the stick stove, the Trangia, in conjunction with some pot cozies. So this is my pot set. I just keep it in a mesh bag so that the soot doesn't get all over everything else. It nests everything I need just barely. This is a small titanium cup. And this is my smaller pot, which now has a cozy, which is going to be crucial for rehydrating dehydrated food. And then the lid of the cozy just fits inside my bigger pot as well. This is the Pathfinder, I think 1.9 liter bush pot. And then this is just a Toaks 900mm titanium pot. So this one is I'm going to be using for most of my rehydrating of meals this season. And then on the stick stove, I'll be using it on top of that, either with twigs if conditions are dry and good, or I'll flip this upside down if I want to use the Trangia. I really wanted to have a solution where I can use my stick stove in conjunction with the Trangia rather than having another wind blocking device for the Trangia. I wanted them to work together. But when I have this in here, in my first test with the Trangia, I had it like this with the pot on top. That was too much distance between the burner and the pot, which made the performance really poor. And I said the Trangia, I didn't really like it initially. That was on me, that was just my own ignorance. So if I flip this, that'll raise the Trangia a little off the bottom and kind of blocks this air intake. Don't want too much air blowing through. I want all that heat to kind of just sit there. So I'll take off the cap of the Trangia, and it's got this in here, methyl hydrate, which is a very cheap alcohol fuel. Light that up. If I want to put this in here, it'll sit right on top of the Trangia. There's not enough room. So I got a couple of steel tent pegs, which I'm using kind of like fire irons to create just a small platform to put my burner on there. I won't leave it on there because there's nothing in it, but that's how I'm going to use this. So if it's wet, if I've had a rainy, nasty day, I can just use the Trangia and save myself some time and effort. Or if it's nice dry conditions, I'll just fire up the stick stove with sticks. These really don't weigh much. I'll throw the simmering disc on top of the Trangia to extinguish it. And I want to be able to use the Trangia more this year, not just because of those wet days, but for my lung health. I've spent 130 something days over the last year camping, and I'm making, let's say, 2 fires per day. I'm inhaling a ton of smoke, and I can actually feel it in my lungs sometimes, which is a little scary. I don't smoke, so it would be a real tragedy to end up with some kind of lung issue because I've inhaled too much campfire smoke. So I think this would be a good balance to not overdo it on my lungs. I also got a little fuel bottle, so the Trangia itself, this holds, I don't know, 20 or 30 minutes worth of fuel, I think, if you use it open, something like that. And then this will contain several refills for this, so this should do me for a week-long trip easily. There is a really nice Trangia branded bottle for this purpose, which has a little non-drip spout, but I couldn't find it in Canada for a reasonable price, so I just got this one at a local outdoor store. And then the pot cozy. So all I'll have to do here is boil, let's say, a cup of water, probably for if I'm rehydrating a meal for one person. And then once it's boiled, add the ingredients, the dehydrated ingredients, put it in the pot cozy, and now I'm done using fuel. This will contain the heat of the boiled water, and it'll rehydrate on its own in there, even in cold conditions. But it was very easy to make. It was just some Reflectix. Actually, our foil is how this one is branded. I got it at my local home hardware, along with this aluminum foil tape, just a 10-meter roll and 3 feet by, I think it was like 2 feet. So 6 square feet of our foil and 10 meters of this aluminum tape made way more than enough for 3 cozies. 2 of these are for Nalgene's, but this is really for winter so that our water doesn't freeze as quickly in Nalgene's. I'll usually bring a thermos as well, but it's just nice to have extra water that's not going to freeze immediately when it's very cold out. It will freeze eventually, but it'll slow it down a lot. So I made one for Aaron, one for me, and this pot is big enough to rehydrate meals for both of us as well. And I got a lot of this inspiration from Backcountry Eats, this book by Kevin Ride. Kevin Outdoors, as he's known on YouTube, I've been going through it for recipes, but there's also just a ton of knowledge within the book about it, and it mentioned pot cozies, which is something I've thought about doing for a long time, and thought now is the time if I want to try and use fuel more and sticks less or open fires less for my lungs' sake, if nothing else, then might as well do this now. I did a little speed test earlier today to see which of these pots covered with a lid boils a cup of water faster. They were extremely similar. This one is stainless steel, this one is titanium. Whatever the variables are, the difference was seconds. It was just over, I think, 3 minutes and 10 seconds to boil 1 cup of water in either one. So whether it was 5-10 seconds one way or the other, I don't really care. I think this one's just ideal for this purpose, and then this one will be primarily used over the fire. It's got the bail on it, so it can be hung or used in various different ways, and it's just a very solid pot. This one's quite a lot thinner. Aside from that, all I've got in here is this pan, which is the, I think, GSI 10-inch Pinnacle, which I like. It's coated, which really helps with cleanup in the backcountry, but I've heard bad things about the coating. I'm not sure if there's real substance to that, but it makes me want to use just pure stainless steel. Maybe I'll go that way someday. But for now, it's nice for cleanup. Hard plastic plate. It has a nice lip on it, so it can also be used as a bowl. And then my cutlery bag, which is a pot gripper. You can grab any pot I've ever seen. It can grab this cup. It just whoops, spilling coffee. Just holds it with tension between there. These are very useful. I found it on a campsite years ago and then immediately adopted that. A wooden spoon, which is also kind of like a spatula, thank you Scotty, which is great for the non-stick pan. Don't want to use metal on here, it'll scratch the coating. So this is gentle, it won't scratch. I have these titanium spoons. One is a long, really long one, which is great for meal packs, like Backpacker's Pantry and all those, because you can really stir down there without basically getting your fingers in the meal. A bigger spoon, just more surface area for stuffing stuff into your gob. That was eloquent. Titanium fork and a little titanium folding knife. Bitty big Q. That concludes this absolutely riveting video. If you have any questions, just let me know. I will probably never do dehydrating specific videos aside from the one I did last spring, or cooking cookbook stuff. I'm leaving that to Kevin. Like, he's done a phenomenal job, and I really don't think I could do it better. There are tons of great videos on how to make these cozies as well. I just didn't feel like I could improve upon them. Syntax 77 has a really good one. But yeah, any other questions, just let me know.